Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game Micro Dojo. This is a worker movement game, and the worker movement mechanism is actually my favorite mechanism in the game. So I'll talk about that a little bit right now. So there is this little mat on the middle of the table. This is the worker movement mat. I'm not sure if it scales by player count. The game is a 1 to 2 player game. It looks the same on both sides. So this is the player mat. And at the beginning of the game, you are going to put little meeples like this on each of the 4 corners. On your turn in the game, you will take a little token that represents you, which is different than the workers that are on the board, and you'll choose one worker on this board to move. And you'll do that. I know I'm holding up a lot of components here, but you have these little tokens that represent the workers that are off the side of the board. So if I want to move this meeple right here, then I would put my token on this token right here, this tile, and I would move the meeple 1 space and take the corresponding benefit. The reason this is interesting to me, because it's maybe somewhat standard for worker movement, is the way that it prevents players from doing the same thing on back-to-back turns. And the way that it actually adds a little bit of player interaction and blocking to the other players, because my token remains on this tile. And you can only move a worker where the tile doesn't have a token on it. So on my next turn, I will need to move my token to one of the other 3 worker tiles, moving one of those workers instead. And one of those, in a 2-player game, one of those tiles already has my opponent's token on it, and so I can't move my token onto that tile. So if I take a turn, I use this worker, this tile reminds us all that this worker is occupied, they're busy. I need to then choose a different worker on my next turn and move that around. And with that, the worker movement mechanism itself, I think, is nice. That all the benefits in the game are right here that you can gain, and you're kind of deciding which worker do I want to move at this moment. And I don't believe, at least in the simple version of the game that we played, I don't think the workers did anything different than each other. They were just 4 different workers that looked a little different, so you know which ones were which. But they might have different powers in different versions of the game, but you're basically just moving those workers around. Yeah, really cool worker movement mechanism that prevents you from doing the same thing that your opponent did or that you did on your previous turn to add a little variety to the game and to keep these workers moving around to the different locations. And while a worker is on one of these spaces, no other worker can go there. So there is a little bit of action blocking or benefit blocking here as well. Yeah, that's my favorite mechanism in Micro Dojo. If this worker movement mechanism reminds you of another game, let me know in the comments below. Or if you have a favorite mechanism in this game, I'd love to hear about that in the comments below as well. Thanks.